Hello and welcome to Irish Football Fan TV, and this is the League of Ireland show, and I'm joined by Paul Tierney. How are you today, Paul?
All good, Gary. All good. Happy out and looking forward to talking to you about a busy week of action and some cracking results as well. So yeah, looking forward to it. And it's a lovely day outside as well. So I think we're all in good spirits.
Yeah, lovely day. Some cracking and I think some surprising results. Certainly, I was surprised and maybe made a mockery of some of our predictions. But let's start in Tala because I think it was the biggest game of the weekend. An absolutely cracking game. Sligo Rovers, I think they'd gone 9 years without a win in Tala until they won last year and nearly made it won 2 years running. Fantastic start for them. Will Fitzgerald, I talked about him last week. Very talented player. I know he's a Limerick man. We had him in Limerick. And if he can stay injury-free, he's going to be a crucial player for them. He scored again. Aidan Keena grabbed another goal, and he seems to be on fire as well. And Sligo Rovers were 2-0 up in Tala at half-time. But second half is a totally different story. Shamrock Rovers played incredibly well. Got one back through Graham Burke and then got an equaliser with about 11 minutes to go. An own goal, I think, in off Adam McDonald, although the FAI official site seems to give it, the SSE Electricity League official site seems to give it as an own goal off Max Mata, but I think it's Adam McDonald. Stand to be corrected on that. And probably overall, a draw is probably a fair result. I don't know what your thoughts are on
it. Yeah, probably a fair result. With Sligo gone 2-0 up anyway, it's definitely going to be a fair result. I think the main point to take from it is that Rovers really have not got going yet, to be honest, especially against the bigger sides who they've played against. You know, they've only got 2 points off Dundalk, Sligo, Pats and Derry, which they probably would have got 10 points out of last season, even at this early stage. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to make of it. Like, Liam Buckley seemed happy enough with a point, but after being 2-0 up, I don't really think you can be happy after being 2-0 up.
Yeah.
Like, in my opinion, anyway, I wouldn't be happy. Yeah, it's a weird one. It's two teams who are going to be near the top anyway. So, you know, a great game from what I heard off Daniel Coffey online anyway. And, yes, I mean, I don't really know what to make of it. I think the only thing I can take from it is that Rovers really have not got going yet this season.
Yeah, I mean, I think some of us, me included, were wondering, would we actually have a title race this season? I think there was a concern that Shamrock Rovers would actually dominate the league. And, well, certainly, as of now, we definitely have a title race. And as you say, they've only taken 2 points from the games you mentioned, now, albeit all tough games. Mm-hmm. But they would certainly have been expecting and hoping to win on Friday night. I'm sure Liam Buckley would have been delighted with a point before the match. But I do take your point. When you're 2-0 up at half-time, you really should go on and win the game. But I believe it was a really impressive second-half performance from Shamrock Rovers. And Sligo certainly have been the surprise packet for me. Now, it might sound strange given they finished third last season, but I think many people felt they'd overachieved. Maybe things at the end of the season, they appeared to be on a bit of a slide.
Yeah.
And kind of just hung on for Europe. And I mean, I was certainly expecting maybe they'll struggle to get Europe again this season. But no, they're actually in the title race. They're not in the European race. They're in the title race. And they've been very, very impressive. In fact, if anything, it's Derry City and Sligo Rovers have been the two really impressive sides across the board this season. I know Pats are up there as well, but Pats have had a couple of bad defeats. But it's great for the league, and as a neutral, it's great that we do have a title race, and it will make it very interesting for everyone. And as Paul said, Daniel did catch up, and there's some interviews on our YouTube channel if you want to see what happened after the game. So let's move on, Paul, to the game you were at in the UCD Bowl. And another surprise result for me, UCD and Bows drawing 1-1. I think many expected Bows to go and win that, especially when they took the lead.
Yeah, definitely. They took the lead after 4 minutes. Defensive mishap between Lorcan Healy in the goal and a couple of the UCD defenders. There was a couple of them involved, and Promise O'Mashare just smashed it home. Bows were well warranted of the lead. They started very strongly. First 20 minutes in particular. Just after that, Dawson Devoy hit the post. Looked like it was going to creep past Lorcan Healy, but buried off the post. And from there, really, UCD took control for the rest of the game. From my opinion, anyway, they had all the ball. You know how good they are on the ball. You know how well they play as well. They really got going. Liam Kerrigan was excellent up and down that line, causing havoc for the Bows defence. They had a couple of chances. Colin Whelan probably would feel he should have done better a couple of times. And then into the second half, the goal came. Sam Todd buried the header. Now, to me, he looked like he either just totally ran away from his marker or he was just left on his own. And he just buried the header in the corner. And now he's got his second goal of the season. But UCD will be disappointed. They went through a couple of times. And if it wasn't for James Talbot to save Bows a couple of times, they could have gone away without a point from that game. And Keith Long actually said to me after the game as well, he thought they were a bit lucky in the end. He wasn't happy with the performance. He said he needs to change a couple of things. He might need to change the system. He said that in the interview as well. He wasn't pleased. The Bows fans weren't pleased. And I saw a couple of things on Twitter actually saying maybe it's time for change. Honestly, I don't really think that's the answer with Bows, to be honest. I think who are you going to go and get? I mean, they sell their best players every year. So it's a very, very hard team to manage anyway. And that would frustrate me. But from what I saw, UCD should have won again. And I've seen them three times this season at home. Twice they should have won at home. And they were against Finn Harps. It could have really gone either way. But a draw was probably a fair result. But against Shells and against Bows, they definitely should have took the 3 points in both of them.
I just wonder, you mentioned Colin Whelan there and having a couple of chances. I haven't seen him this season, but last season for me, he looked absolutely class and one of the best finishers I've seen in the league. And I actually saw the other day he was linked with a move to Lincoln City as well. He hasn't got off the mark. All strikers go through a barren patch, but I wonder if he can start scoring. Could that make the difference for UCD?
Yeah, definitely. I think the most glaring part of Friday was it was actually ruled offside, but he went through on goal, and it was an easy finish for the likes of him, and he actually put it wide past the post. Now it was already given offside; it wasn't going to count. But even those, they get in your mind. You know, you're like, oh, I still should have put it away. You know, and I think maybe he needs just to get off the mark, like Liam Kerrigan did down in Drogheda, and UCD that did that night. Anyway, they've got off the mark, and now they're playing a bit more, and they're more confident, and they're going for it. I think once he gets off the mark, UCD will definitely win a couple of home games. I think we discussed that a few weeks ago. Like, they're unbeaten in their first 3 home games. It's going to be a really tough place to get 3 points. And if you do, you'll be very, very, very happy with it. I think once he gets that first goal, the floodgates might open and he might get a couple more. But at the minute, look, he's hitting the target. But I mean, I suppose the goalkeepers, it's cruel to criticise the first division goalkeepers, but they're probably a tiny bit better in the first division as well. I thought James Talbot done brilliantly a couple of times. But I think that's all they need is he just needs 1 goal and then he'll be flying. But it's going to take a bit of time, obviously, and it is a higher level as well.
Yeah, I mean, for all strikers, you just need that bit of luck. If you are hitting the target, at least it's got a chance. And you just need one to deflect in or something to happen. And yeah, as you say, if he gets that 1 goal, he'll probably be up and running. I saw the Twitter stuff pretty much after the game. I think it's died down a little bit. I'm shocked. As you say, Bows, every single year they lose all their best players or a lot of their key players, and it's been no different this year. And every single year, Keith Long has found players, pulled a squad together, and incredibly, he's done an incredible job. And I really. Look, I can't believe that Bows fans will be actually calling for his head. And I don't know what you expect if you're going to lose. And it does take time to gel a squad together. And Bows, I suppose losing the derby was a big blow. And but then you mentioned Promise O'Mashar scoring the goal. He's actually been really excellent this season. Maybe if he'd been available in Tala, it might have been different as well. Because I didn't see the game, and unfortunately it wasn't on TV or anything like that. So just saw brief highlights. But what I understand was that Bohs could very easily have nicked a point, and maybe the fans would be feeling a lot different about their season so far if that had been the case. But
I think from that night, okay, maybe they could have nicked the point in the end, but it was the manner of the defeat. Maybe they weren't really up for it like they usually would be. It's like they usually get decent results against Rovers, even if they get beaten 2-1 or it's 2-2 or something. At least they put in a shift. I don't think they really put in a shift that night, and that's probably why the fans were so damning at the defeat.
Yeah, and Bohs have probably overachieved. Even when Rovers were running away with titles, Bohs were actually getting more points off them, which always does make a difference to the fans when you beat your local rivals.
100%.
But time will tell for Bohs. I would have a concern for them though if they're hoping to get back into Europe, because they're already falling a little bit off the pace, and we can go on and talk about the league table, but there does seem to be a bit of a divide, and 4 teams. Okay, I know someone can always win the cup, but there seem to be a bit of a divide, and 4 teams are certainly on a more impressive start than any of the others. So, it does. We can maybe talk about the relegation battle in a minute as well, which maybe it's a bit early for that, but a good point for UCD.
Yeah. I think I'll just plug the interviews I got as well. So I actually spoke to Andy Moyler and Keith Long after the game on Friday, and you can see those interviews on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook on our pages if you want to have a look at those. Particularly the Keith Long one, which is actually a very interesting one. So if you just want to have a go and have a look at that, please do.
Okay, yeah, and it's always interesting to hear from Keith Long, because you do get a good insight. So moving on to another game, and I actually did get to see most of this one on TV, because I got back from Limerick in time for most of it, and the live TV game on Friday night, and a shock for me that another derby match, and Drogheda won Dundalk 0. A Dean Williams penalty 4 minutes into the second half. I don't know if you got a chance to get home for any of that, Paul, or to get back to watch any of it back. But for me, I thought Drogheda fully deserved the win.
Yeah, definitely. I actually watched it. I got back for the second half. I saw the goal as well. I thought it was a bit controversial, the penalty anyway, but we don't need to go into that. Drogheda were very good. It's exactly the same performance from Dundalk as it was last week in Talca Park. Controlled the play, had a lot of the ball, but they're not creating chances. That's it. They're not creating chances, and they're not making the most of it. Drogheda were the much better side. They always look like scoring again. And I think that's an issue for Dundalk. That's 2 games in a row now where they've had a lot of the ball, but they've not done anything with it. And a great win for Drogheda. Listen, it's probably an extra 3 points we didn't think they'd have so far as well. So, fantastic stuff. And they probably should have won by more as well.
Yeah, they definitely had the best of the chances. Yeah, I can see how the penalty was controversial, but I can also see why it was given. It was clumsy from Greg Sloggett. So it's one of those. I don't know if VAR would have overturned it, but I don't know if VAR would have given it either. I don't think they would have given it if the referee hadn't given it. But I don't think Dundalk can have any complaints. They had most of the play, but it really didn't look like they were. To me, they never really looked like equalising. And as you said, Drogheda very good on the break and could well have had a second. And that's a crucial win for them. And it might make all of us rethink who I think was talking last week that it looked like Drogheda, UCD and Finn Harps were going to be the bottom 3. Now it may well pan out like that, but wins like that for Drogheda will certainly make people sit up and notice. Another thing I'd like to mention about that game, that despite the fact that it was live on TV, it was a total sellout crowd at Head in the Game Park as well. And it looked a fantastic atmosphere. And that's great to see.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there were some unsavoury scenes at the end. We probably don't need to go into them, but both clubs have condemned them anyway. But look, that seems to be the case at League of Ireland games at the minute. I was at Bray and Cork. There was a bit of trouble at that. You have other games as well. You've heard about other things too. You saw it on live TV the other night. It's not great. Doesn't look great for the league. But look, at least the clubs have condemned it. That's all they can do. But maybe a better security presence at grounds would probably sort that out, really, to be honest.
Yeah, it probably would. I heard, I didn't see anything. There were incidents, I believe, after away from the ground after Treaty and Cork on Friday evening as well. And yeah, it's not good to see scenes like that and on the TV. And when the league is growing and when crowds are increasing, yeah, you are unfortunately going to get some of that, but it isn't a good look, and it does kind of discourage families and everything from going to games. So people are being more reluctant to bring their kids to a game like that. But I mean, I thought it was very entertaining game to watch on TV, and the capacity crowd certainly really helps that. And so a great night for Drogheda, not so good for Dundalk, and they had been unbeaten up to that. So I do take your point about Shelbourne, but they might have expected to go to Talca and maybe play a bit better, and also haven't gone a goal up to actually have won the game. But they had this Drogheda away, UCD at home. They would have been hoping and expecting to take 6 points from that. They've got none so far, and now the pressure really comes on UCD at home. That even at this stage of the season, that kind of becomes a must-win, even though Stephen O'Donnell's side are in a bit of a rebuilding phase and a bit of a transition. But the Dundalk fans have been used to success for so long that I don't know if they're going to have a lot of patience if we're going to see too many more performances like Friday night.
Yeah, definitely. It's a tough one because like they did struggle for a good portion of last season as well. So, I don't really know what they can expect, to be honest. Like, I mean, they got two decent points at the start of the season, particularly against Derry. And you look at Derry now; they're flying. Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird one. It's a tough one for O'Donnell as well. I mean, I've only seen them once, and okay, they like having the ball, but they're not creating much. They've got to change that maybe. Maybe against UCD at home, they get a couple more opportunities, create a couple more opportunities, and if they got a couple of goals, they might get them firing. But after seeing UCD so far this season, it's not going to be easy anyway, that's for sure.
No, I think the one thing is they will have Stephen Bradley back, so maybe they missed him as well. I know he came off the bench on Friday night, but he should be back, and he's been a revelation. I know he's only on loan from Hibs until the summer, though, so I don't think they can really count on him for the whole season. But he's been a crucial player for him, and maybe his absence may have been part of the response or part of the reason for the dip in form.
Yeah, definitely. Look, they probably get going in the next few weeks again. I mean, it's a tough injury to get so early for them as well because he's doing so well. And obviously most of their goals have come through him as well, and Pat Hooban as well. But it's look, they'll get firing in the next few weeks anyway. But I wouldn't expect too much of them. I think they'll just miss out on the top four anyway. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's what it's looking like at the moment. And so, well, moving on to the big game at the Brandywell, and two of the sides that are very much in the mix for top four. And another last gasp winner for Derry City. And what a win. A former Dundalk man, Will Patching. I know he was on loan at Derry last season as well. Went back to Dundalk. He's now signed permanently. He scored early on, and this was a game of absolutely cracking goals. You can check out these 3 goals on YouTube or wherever. Will Patching gave Derry City a 4-minute lead. Just after half-time, Tom Gravosti, I think it is, equalised for Pats. And it looked like he was heading for 1-1, and that would have been a fantastic point for Pats at the Brandywell. But 3 minutes or 4 minutes even into added time, Will Patching wins it with another stunning goal. And a huge win for Derry. They have been the most impressive side so far this season, and deservedly top of the table.
Yeah, definitely. Shown signs of champions with these late winners they're getting anyway, that's for sure, because that's what happens when champions usually win leagues. Yeah, great result for Derry. Pats will be good not to go away with a point. That's a long trip up on a Friday. I know it was a bank holiday Friday as well, but still, it's a long trip up, and it's an even longer trip back when you lose in the last minute. Fair play to Derry. They've got going. It was an emotional night up there as well. Obviously, we know for the reason, Ryan McBride and stuff, the anniversary. And look, a fantastic win, and they're flying at the minute. And they've also got a game in hand as well, remember, because the UCD game was postponed last weekend. So look, they're in a good position already going into this little mini break that we have, and fair play to them. Like, they were being tipped as doing well this year. They've started so strongly, and fair play to them on that.
Yeah, no, I mean, many people tipped, including myself, tipped them to do well, and they certainly signed very well. Now, Michael Duffy, look, I hope he's going to be okay and back soon, but I think he's going to be out for a while, and he's going to be a big loss. But I mean, they did sign, and some local lads. I mean, Michael Duffy's a local lad, Patrick McElhenney's a local lad. They've got Danny Lafferty back, etc. And so they did make some very good signings, but you do also need to get everybody to gel. And certainly, Rory Higgins has done a cracking job there.
Yeah, and definitely.
Well, they're the team to beat at the moment, and they're the team to catch. And as you say, those late winners, Jamie McGonigal against Rovers, Will Patching against Pats, in big games against big teams, to get those injury time winners are absolutely crucial. I mean, the league table could look a lot different if those games had ended in draws. And but look, what a start for Derry, and maybe Derry fans, anyone watching, what do you think? Is this going to be the title challenge? Well, there's definitely going to be a title challenge. Is this going to be Derry City's year?
Yeah, it very well might be, Gary. You know, very well might be. And look, as long as they keep going how they are, I mean, they're definitely in with the show.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I don't think they could have started any better, really. They've been very impressive, picked up some really impressive results. And they've also played, they drew with Sligo. It was a good point for Sligo. They played Shamrock Rovers, they've played Pats, they've played Dundalk. So, yeah, they've played most of who you could consider to be their title rivals already.
Yeah, so definitely.
Yeah, so moving on to the last Premier Division match, and another surprise result, and one that certainly surprised me, and I know you're not going to be too happy with this one, Paul, but a fully deserved win for Finn Harps. Shelbourne 0, Finn Harps 3 at Talca Park. And this was an absolute tanking and a fully deserved win for Harps. Ethan Boyle gave them the lead just before half-time in the 45th minute. Conor Tourish came up and made it up from the back and made it 2-0 on 63 minutes. And Eric McWoods came off the bench with a couple of minutes to go to seal an emphatic 3-0 win. A first win of the season for Ollie Horgan's side, and moves them off the bottom of the table as well. What an impressive performance and what a result.
Yeah, definitely fair play to Finn Harps. A lot of people didn't see that one coming, including myself. Disappointing from Shell's point of view, but got to give credit to Harps. They always have to travel, whenever they go away, they always have to travel very, very far, besides Derry maybe. And look, it's a cracking result. It's got them off the board. The only ones left to get a win now are UCD, and I don't see that taking too long for them to get either. Great win for Harps. Listen, and Ollie Horgan, even after the game, said, "Oh, look, it's only one win. We don't need to over-exaggerate." I mean, that's just classic Ollie Horgan, really, isn't it? Like, you wouldn't expect anything less from him. But yeah, fantastic win. Fair play to Harps. Couple of people in the Shells fans group chat on Facebook saying it's one of the worst defeats they've ever had at Tolkien. Now, I don't know if I'd go that far, but they definitely got a bit of a spanking anyway. So, yeah, I mean, it's a tough one to take for Shells. I mean, it's still early days. I know John Ross Wilson went off injured with what looked like a bad injury anyway in the first half. that he's going to be a big loss if he is gone for a while anyway. So that'll be disappointing. I don't know. With Shells anyway, and I know I've said it a couple of times, there's just no real, besides maybe Jack Moylan, and he's out injured as well at the minute. There's just no real standout player. And I think that's what's killing them maybe at the minute, whereas even last year there was a couple of standout players in the first division. There's no real standout player this year. Dan Carr's getting a lot of flack online as well. Whether it's justified or not, I've only seen them live twice. He didn't come on in one of them. So, I don't know. But tough times at Chelsea. They have to get another win. They have to get another win fast.
Yeah, they do. And I mean, I had talked before about the three teams, UCD, Drogheda and Harps. And I think we've got a concern that Chelsea could well be in that mix now. I thought with Damien Duff and everything, they would be at least ahead of those three. But now, after that result and that performance, I'm not so sure. But look, hats off to Ollie Horgan, because every year they are punching. They are. I mean, the other thing to point out is Harps are a part-time side and Chelsea are full-time. So they are definitely punching above their weight. They consistently do that, and it's an incredible achievement, and to keep doing what they're doing, and fair play to them. And I think tip Finn Harps for relegation at your peril, because they're going to make a mockery of anybody. I think it's Shamrock Rovers up next at Finn Park, and I don't think they're going to fancy that trip, and I'm sure Ollie is going to be rubbing his hands and waiting for that one.
Yeah, definitely. They beat them up there last year as well in one of the games. So I mean, it's no easy task. And with Rovers playing how they are at the minute, they need to get a win up there, and it's going to be extremely tough.
Yeah, no, I think it's already becoming even. Well, don't maybe must win is a bit harsh for Rovers, but they will be under pressure to go up and win, particularly the form Derry City are in. That they need to try and keep pace with them, and Sligo Rovers as well. So, well, that's the Premier Division. I'll come on to talk about the First Division in a minute. I just want to give a mention to the Women's National League, because I talked about Sligo Rovers and how well they've been doing so far. But an incredible result for the Sligo Rovers women. They're new to the Women's National League, and they went down to Cork and beat Cork City 2-1 and got their first win in the Women's National League. Also lifted them off the bottom. Unfortunately, my team, Treaty United, now occupy the bottom spot after a 5-1 defeat in Greenogue on Saturday. But hats off to Sligo Rovers, and an amazing result and a fantastic win for their women's side. And another impressive win for Wexford. I believe Ellen Malloy was excellent in scoring a goal for them as well. But moving on to the First Division, and maybe I'll gloss over this one quickly, but the game I was at, Treaty United 0, Cork City 4. And look, another derby match. I have a frog in my throat. I'm not trying to get out of this one. Look, all I can say is Cork City were incredibly full value. They were incredibly impressive. Right from the first minute, they were on the front foot. They took the game to Treaty. Barry Coffey scored a stunning goal in the 3rd minute. And it was one-way traffic. Cian Bargery, he got 2 goals, very impressive from wing-back. And he got 2 goals in about 7 minutes in the first half. It was really all over at half-time. Treaty did mount a few attacks, but even then, Ali Gilchrist and Jonas Hakkinen were superb at the back for Cork City, and we really never looked like scoring. And Hakkinen went up front and got the 4th as well with about 11 or 12 minutes to go. A very, very impressive performance from Cork City. By far the best I've seen in the First Division this season. And they've got to be serious contenders for the First Division title.
Yeah, definitely. They've worked their way into it. Look, a great start to the season, kind of stuttered a little bit in the middle, losing to Galway and drawing with Longford. But look, I mean, they beat Waterford. They've got the goals in them as well. I mean, they've scored, you think between the 2 games we've seen them this year, we've seen them score 10 times, which is just unbelievable going, and fair play to them. They seem to be able to get goals from anywhere on the pitch as well, which is, that's a real quality and a real skill for a team. And look, they're a massive club. The fact that they're down there and they got going towards the end of last season, but they struggled for a lot of parts of it. It's mental to think that not too long ago they were winning the league, but obviously we know what's happened here between then and now. But look, fantastic for them, and they're going to keep going. They've got some very good quality players there as well, and look, great start from them, you have to say.
Yeah, you mentioned last season because they did get going for a while, and I actually was concerned they were going to make a late run for the playoffs, and they did come to the Markets Field, and it was a very good point and a very good scoreless draw, but it was important for Treaty to get that point, and that kind of ended Cork City's playoff hopes. And but certainly this season, as you say, they stuttered. That was a great win for Galway, but it was a bit of a backs to the wall performance for that win in Turner's Cross as well. But City really seemed to have found the groove, and very impressive win over Waterford on Monday. They'd beaten Cove in the Derby the previous Friday. And that was a real statement to come to Limerick and to just blow Treaty United away. And I did talk about the three teams' potential for the bottom. I think I've absolutely no doubt the top three in the first division are going to be the three full-time sides. And that's Waterford, Galway and Cork City. But the order will be very interesting because only one of them can get automatic promotion. And at most one other, excuse me, at most one other can go up via the playoffs. But even if you look at the league table, Cork City are top, but because of not playing, etc., Galway have a game in hand, and Waterford can still join them on the top as well. Waterford didn't play on last weekend, but that performance really impressed me. I will move on to Galway United because, if anything, if you look, they're level in points in Cork and they have a game in hand. And maybe go back to your point about champions as well, because I saw Galway on Monday night in Eamon DC Park, and they got the win against Treaty. They were certainly hanging on at the end. Red Hanlon had a great chance to equalise with a couple of minutes to go. He really should have scored, although it was a brilliant pass from him to set up Enda Curran for the Treaty's goal. But Galway rode their luck a little bit. Went to Athlone, a place they struggled last season. They would have been expected to win comfortably. They had to grind out the 2-1 win. But you wonder, Cork City looking really impressive, blowing teams away. Or Galway, John Caulfield's sides, they're always tough to beat. They'll always be there or thereabouts. They are winning. They're grinding out results. They're getting the points. Even when they were 2-0 down at home to Waterford, they came back and draw 2-2. So could be an interesting title race. But for me, Cork City looked a hell of a lot more impressive than Galway. But Galway grinding out the results. I wonder how that's going to pan out.
Yeah, but it's a classic John Caulfield team, really, isn't it? We saw them last year. They started poorly last year in the first division, and it cost them in the end, really. Everyone thought they were going to be right up there challenging with Shells, but they just started too slowly. They ended up actually beating Shells as well, 3-1 down in Eamon DC Park. And look, they're well capable, but as you said, they're going to grind out results. They got one the other night, which is the main thing. Athlone are struggling big time as well, which should be mentioned too. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be between the three of them. And you mentioned that 2-2 draw with Waterford. I think that's rattled Waterford a little bit, to be honest, because everyone thought, oh, they're going to run away with it. They've started so strongly. Well, it doesn't look that way now anyway. That's for sure. The two other teams have gone on and motored on, really, to be honest, which is great to see. And look, if there's a title race, at least it'll be interesting. That's the thing. You don't want someone running away with it all the time anyway, that's for sure. Unless you support them.
Well, that's true. And talking about the support, the Cork City support has been absolutely phenomenal. The crowds they're getting in Turner's Cross. And they've Athlone this Friday night, and I can only imagine they really deserve to get even more there. And I imagine they will because, well, they're on a roll. And if you're down in Leaside, really, you should get out and try and get along and support them. And Athlone and Wexford up next. Cork City have played more games than the others, but they've got the points on the board. And as long as they're setting the pace, it has to all go well for Colin Healy's side. You mentioned Waterford because they didn't play on Friday. They're next up for Treaty United. We've been a little bit unfortunate with the fixtures and that we get the 3 full-time sides in 3 consecutive games. And so we've Waterford in the Markets Field on Friday night. Another Munster derby, another attractive one for the Limerick football public. But hopefully they'll turn up in big numbers and hopefully we'll get a result on Friday. Couple of other games in the First Division to talk about quickly, and a couple of impressive away wins from 2 sides that, at least if they're not in the title race, will certainly be in the battle for the playoffs. So Bray went down to Cove and Darragh Lynch came off the bench and grabbed the late winner. And never easy to get anything in St. Coleman's Park, but an impressive win for Bray. And Longford stuffed Wexford 3-0. Maybe Wexford's bubble has busted a little bit. Longford, they've had issues, games being called off, etc. And they'd taken a good point against Cork City, but and by all accounts could have won that, a scoreless draw. But certainly impressive to go and beat Wexford 3-0. So maybe Longford and Bray will have a say yet.
Yeah, definitely great win for Bray. Darragh Lynch coming back from long-term injury as well and scoring an absolute cracker down in Coleman's Park as well. Great win for them. You think of how they started. They lost a couple of games in a row. Now they've won a couple of games in a row and it's completely turned around. Well, no, they lost 3 games in a row, didn't they? They lost to Galway as well. So, sorry, I keep forgetting about that one. I don't know why. But, they lost 3 games in a row. Now they've won 2. They have Wexford at home now on Friday as well. That's 2 teams who've got 6 points so far. It's an important game. 2 teams who'll be looking for challenging for those 2 playoff spots because it looks like the top 3 now are going to be in those 3 positions anyway, like you said. And in terms of Longford, anyway, a couple of the old Bray lads, Ryan Graydon and Dylan Barnett scoring for them the other night as well. Gary Cronin brought them up. 2 very, very talented players, particularly Dylan Barnett as well. So, look, it'll be a fight for those last 2 positions anyway. And look, if you go on a run, you're going to be well in it because it's still kind of tight there as well. And with that idle game every week, I don't know what it is. It just annoys me when I look at it. I don't know why, but it's just, it's mad. But look, there's going to be loads of opportunities for the teams. And I think I might go down to Bray on Friday night. I'm not sure myself. But I mean, it'll be interesting anyway. And it's great to keep an eye on both divisions as well. Keeps your head involved in it anyway, instead of just being stuck with one division as well.
Yeah, I really like the fact that there's 4 playoff places as well as an automatic spot, because had you only had 2 sides in the playoffs in the First Division, you could be at a stage already where you're thinking, God, is anyone going to catch Galway, Waterford and Cork, or in whatever order? And I'm not necessarily saying I don't think it'll be that order actually. But at least with the other playoff spots, Treaty, Longford, Bray, Wexford, whoever, maybe Cove can still come back. Anyone can think, as you say, if they go on a run. And then when it comes down to it, next November, even if you've got a Cork, a Galway or a Waterford over 2 legs, well, you never know, anything can happen. And so I do think it's going to make the First Division very competitive and very interesting. But I also do hate the idle week. I think 9 teams is an awful number, and I wish there was something could have been done to have got a 10th team in.
But I just don't understand, if you're fighting for a 3rd division, how you can have a league where it doesn't have the full amount of teams in it. You know what I mean? Like it's a weird thought. Like, surely you should have an idea for a 10th team that's not a B team. You know, that's it. I know you have to apply for a license and stuff like that and all, but it's just it's crazy. It's crazy. It makes no sense, honestly.
Yeah,
but look, that's the way.
I know. I mean, I would have preferred, even if someone didn't maybe meet all the licensing criteria, if it's not as if they're denying anybody else a chance. That, and particularly in one of the areas where we're trying to promote the game and promote the league, that Kerry, for example, very successful in the underage leagues. Mayo, maybe get Monaghan or Monaghan United back. Kilkenny, I think Kilkenny is a very large city, and I know it's very much hurling country, but there is a strong football tradition there as well, and they've had some successful sides in the FEI Junior Cup and everything. So and that fine ground is still there, Buckley Park and Tennypenny Park just down from it as well. And so anyway, if we are going to have a third division, I think there's still talk that the third division could be as soon as next season. That it is a real pity, but it is what it is. We have the 9 teams, and I still think it's going to be a cracking first division, and some very interesting and entertaining matches to come. So I think that's about it. We've covered everything. So let us know your thoughts in the comments, and what do you think about our predictions or comments, and are you looking forward to games this weekend only in the first division, or in because of the international break, and then the Premier Division back the following week?
Yeah, definitely. Tons going on, and obviously the internationals as well. Ireland playing twice at home. Hope to get, well, it's been tipped that the Belgian game on Saturday will sell out anyway, that's for sure. And I've heard 33,000 tickets have been sold for Lithuania, which I'm absolutely shocked at, because before COVID, that would not have happened for Lithuania, and you'd be a man to vouch for that as well, Gary.
Yeah, absolutely not. I mean, I was shocked that the Qatar game got the 26,000, which was only 50% capacity allowed. But Lithuania on a Tuesday night, particularly as people will have been going to the game on the Saturday, and I think it's already 48,000. So if you haven't bought your Belgium ticket, you better buy it now, even if you still can. But the 33,000 already for Lithuania is phenomenal, and it's great to see. And the fans are voting with their feet or with their credit cards or whatever else, and buying tickets to support Stephen Kenny's side. And great to see, and we'll have lots of content about the international games on the channel over the next few days. But I think we'll leave it there, Paul, and thanks for joining me this morning. And folks, thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks very much, guys. Good luck.
Thanks.